Australia and Timor-Leste will today formally ratify a controversial maritime treaty that sets a permanent sea boundary and divides oil and gas royalties from the Timor Sea. Prime Minister Scott Morrison is in Dili, the first Australian Prime Minister to visit there in 12 years. And his visit comes on the 20th anniversary of Timor-Leste's vote for independence. Indonesia correspondent Anne Barker has more from Timor-Leste.
Signing that maritime treaty is the major thing on the agenda. I'm at the Finance Ministry in Dili, where Scott Morrison went in about 1 o'clock this afternoon. He's meeting key leaders in there, the President, the Prime Minister. There will be what they call an exchange of notes, which effectively means that that treaty that was signed 16 months ago will be effectively ratified and come into force. As you say, that will set out a permanent sea boundary between East Timor and Australia, something that's been contentious for decades really, and it will also provide for the division of royalties from key oil and gas fields, and it will give East Timor the lion's share of many of those royalties from particularly the Greater Sunrise field, which is yet to be developed. That's a field that's worth about $50 billion Australian, and it really could underpin Timor-Leste's future if indeed it is developed in the way they're hoping. But there are other things on the agenda. As you say, it's the 20th anniversary today of the independence referendum in 1999. That's the reason both countries have chosen today for this visit. It's the first Australian prime ministerial visit to East Timor since 2007. And Scott Morrison is also announcing a couple of key funding packages for Timor. One to help lay a subsea cable, fibre optic cable between Timor and Australia that will improve its connectivity with the rest of the world. And it will. Another package is some assistance to help build a naval base on the north coast of Timor, where in a couple of years Australia will hand over 2 patrol boats. Timor-Leste does lack ports, navy bases and indeed patrol boats at the moment, so that's something they're hoping will allow them to police their fisheries, for example, and also patrol the coastline around the country.
And the PM's visit has been overshadowed by protests in relation to the prosecution of witness K and his lawyer.
That's right. Witness K and his lawyer Bernard Collaery have been charged with exposing the Australian bugging operation at the Timorese offices here in 2004, and it was that exposure that in fact allowed Timor to scrap the earlier treaty that would have given it a much lesser share of those royalties. It then demanded Australia come back to the negotiating table and renegotiate that treaty in a way that is much more favourable to Timor-Leste. So most people in Timor see Bernard Collaery and Witness K as heroes because of what their exposure has achieved for the country. There have been protests here in Dili, rallies to highlight the fact that Timorese would like to see Australia drop those charges, the prosecution against both men. And in fact, Shirley Shackleton, the widow of journalist Greg Shackleton, who was one of the Ballabo Five killed in 1975 here, she has brought a petition to the Finance Ministry. She tried to hand it to Scott Morrison. She was prevented from following him into the building, but in fact the Foreign Minister Marise Payne has taken that petition, and that again, it's 4,000 signatures that are demanding Australia drop the charges against Witness K and his lawyer.